Good Saturday afternoon to you. I'm Cheryl Mercedes. We have breaking news at this hour. Right now, a shelter in place is in effect in part of Texas City. Now, this is because of a plant fire there. Crews are at Marathon Oil. That's a refinery which is located on 5th Street South. The shelter in place now stretches from 29th Street to Bay Street, and that's around the entire area. We have live chopper video to show you right now. You can see a lot of the area around that refinery. There is some light smoke. This word came in just around the noon hour, and right before 1 o'clock is when we started getting posts on social media that there would be a shelter in place in that area from emergency officials. They were asking people to go in those areas who lived in that area or outside of that parameter to stay in their homes. The request to those folks were to close the doors and windows, turn off the air conditioning, and then they said to stay inside and wait for further updates. Let's take a look at the map of that shelter in place provided by Texas City. So I took a closer look here. I'm going to walk over and look at my monitor so you can see. If you look at this, if you look at South 5th Street to the bay, it said Bay Street. That's about 3.5 miles to the water. Then if you look in the opposite direction to Highway 146, it goes right about to there. That's another 3 miles. Then if you look at the top of your screen, that's up toward Moses. That's another waterway. That's another about 3.5, 4 miles. So that entire area you're looking at. If you look at the refinery, which is right under 9th Avenue, that's the 5th Avenue. So you go 9, go down 8, 7, 6, 5, South 5th Street there. All above that area is mostly residential. If you go south, if you go into the street level mapping, you can see a lot of industrial sites there. But you start seeing restaurants and residential areas when you go north of that 9th Avenue all the way into the Bay area and the Moses Bay area. So when you go toward the right of your screen and toward the top of your screen, when you see that 25th Avenue North above there and just south of there between 9th Avenue North and 25th Avenue North, those are all residential and business areas. There's also Texas City High School in that area. So obviously school is out for the summer, and it's out obviously because it's the weekend, but there are a lot of folks who live in that area. So if that's you and you're listening, make sure that if you're in your home, you're shutting those windows, you're shutting off the AC, and that you're listening for these updates. Also on your screen now, you can see some of the smoke from the fire. We're told that it is light right now. We do have a statement that came in just a few minutes ago from Marathon Petroleum. This is what they're telling us. This came in shortly after 1:30. They said, quote, "Trained teams are responding to fire at Marathon's Galveston Bay refinery. At this time, there have been no reports of injuries, and all personnel are accounted for. Air monitoring is being deployed in the community as a precaution. The safety of responders, workers, and the community is our first priority as we respond to the situation." We have been hearing from viewers. You all have been sending us some sound, some video, and what you've seen from that area. Let's take a look at some of the video that you all have witnessed from what you've seen near that site. This was taken by one viewer, sent in to us clearly moments after. You can see the thick smoke and the fire there at Marathon Petroleum Refinery right there on 5th Street South. Obviously a lot of thick smoke and flames. Clearly it's gotten a lot lighter since then. You know, we've gotten a lot of videos and a lot of concerns. Obviously, you know, weather has been a factor the last few days, and wind is sometimes a concern when things like this happen. We've got meteorologist Chris Ramirez here on standby. Chris, you're looking at this video. We've seen the smoke has gotten a lot lighter now. What can you tell us about the conditions in that area?
Yeah, so this is the nearest weather station. We're looking at Galveston right now, and this is not too far from Texas City, and just kind of pay attention to those winds. Winds are out of the south at 8 miles an hour. That's not really too strong. It's actually quite calm out there, especially along the coastal areas. So it's those calm winds that we're really going to have to keep an eye on, as we're not really seeing gusts with these wind speeds at all. About 14 miles an hour north of Houston, but along 45 closer to Galveston, we're gusting up to maybe 8-9 miles an hour. And I think my producer was just telling me that what the officials were concerned about is the calm winds and the smoke that have settled possibly in and around the populated areas. But looking at radar right now, we were tracking some active weather earlier this morning in the area. The good news is that most of those storms are well off towards the southeast. As we look at to see how far lightning is with these storms, we're a good 62 miles. So we're in good standing in terms of any additional issues when it comes to the storms that were in the vicinity. I believe it's the calm winds that we're slowly keeping an eye on as we go throughout the next few hours. And so as we look at the forecast winds, especially for Texas City, we are expecting these to gust up just a little bit as we get closer towards the 4 p.m. hour, 5-6 o'clock. We could start seeing those winds gusting up to about 26 miles an hour. And then becoming calm again going into the overnight hours. So we're about to get some gusty conditions as we head into the next few hours. And so hopefully that could just disperse anything that's out there, but we are still tracking the possibility for some of these winds to be calm, at least for the next hour or two, especially as we head into later this afternoon. Cheryl.
Thank you so much, Chris. Let's go ahead and look at some more video here we've seen from some other viewers that are coming in now. To be clear, this is some video you're looking at not from right now, but that came in earlier, soon after the fire. Now, this is from Yolanda Gonzalez. You're looking at video here. You can see the thick black smoke just pouring out of that facility on 5th Street South there in Texas City. This is a video sent in from a viewer to us shortly after that fire began. This is another clip sent in from Yolanda Gonzalez. Again, a shelter in place is set there along that area. It's about 7.5, 8 square miles in Texas City. We do know, according to Marathon Petroleum, that there's no reported injuries. And as of right now, the smoke is a lot lighter, as we've seen from Air 11. We can look now at Air 11. There you go. It's a lot lighter. You can see they are battling the crew. This is live. And they do say, Marathon told us right after 1:30 that they do have it under control. So thankfully there are no injuries, but as a precaution, they do have that entire area that we showed you under a shelter in place, which means you need to stay inside, shut your windows, turn off your ACs, just out of an abundance of caution. So we want to make sure that we get that across. There's a lot of industrial businesses in that area, but also we showed you there are a lot of residential places in that area, as well as restaurants and other areas that families might gather on the weekend. So we want to make sure that if you are one of those places, you stay put. And if those businesses could as well, heed those warnings for the shelter in place. And we also have the instructions right there on your screen. If that is you and you're in a location, remember, look at the screen. If this is you, 29th Street to Bay Street, that's the waterway. Go inside, stay there, close the windows and doors, turn off the AC. We know that can be uncomfortable. If you got a spray bottle with some water, trust me, that always helps. Maybe take a shower, get in a cold shower, that helps too. But turn the AC off. This is out of an abundance of caution. Marathon likely doing some air monitoring there. First responders as well, so that they can give you the okay when they lift that shelter in place, so that you can go back to your daily business and enjoy your weekend. But right now, just out of an abundance of caution, you want to make sure that you heed the warning. There are live pictures right there on your screen again as we take that full screen live pictures of Air 11, giving you a view of what is happening so you do not have to go outside and take those videos and photos. We understand when this first happened, it is alarming and you want to go outside to get the videos, send them in. And we also always appreciate getting those from you when you can do it safely. But now we are showing you what we're seeing safely from Chopper 11 in the sky. And we can see now that the fire has diminished significantly from when we first started receiving videos and photos from you around the noon hour. And it appears, as Marathon said, they do have this under control. Now, we do have a crew headed out to that scene, and as soon as we can get more information from them, from what they're seeing safely on the ground, we'll get that to you. But for now, this is what we have for you, is this live video. We can show you the areas of the shelter in place. If we could get that map back up, that would be great. So we can show you the shaded areas, because that's super important. You know, a lot of these areas in Texas City, we know that there are a lot of refineries, plants, oil and gas. You know, we're known for that in Galveston County, but there are also a lot of residents there. A lot of folks work and live in that area, and this is an area where it appears anyway, on street level mapping, that it's 50-50. So there are a lot of people who live there, and there are a lot of businesses there. So people likely being impacted by the shelter in place. At least if you know a friend or neighbor who may not have gotten the alert or may not be aware, you might want to let them know. So I'm walking over to the screen now just to take a look. Again, that's the Bay Area. You see there on the right of your screen, all the way over to near Highway 146, which is a major highway, and then all the way up to Moses Bay, top of your screen, and then Texas Avenue, which that is mostly industrial down there, as you can see. But as you head north of 9th Avenue, all the way to 25th, north of that, that is mostly residential. So that's quite an impact there. That's a lot of people who are being told to shelter in place on their Saturday afternoon and are likely concerned with, hey, when can I get back to my daily life, right? So if you could just keep it right here, and we'll let you know the conditions. So speaking of which, we want to know what the weather is looking like right now, Chris. How is the wind impacting this? And for folks who are inside with the AC off, how are they being impacted?
Right, so it's the calm winds that we're currently seeing across the coastal areas. It's very sunny out there. We've had storms this morning, and those storms this morning actually ate up all the energy that is in that general area of Texas City and Galveston. So this is looking at Galveston. This is the nearest the weather observation site, 84 degrees, south winds at 8 miles an hour. But we're going to take a closer look at those wind speeds as we get closer towards along I-45 and around the Lamarck area. Lamarck is the nearest site that we have. So we have 6 miles an hour out in Lamarck, San Leon at 6 miles an hour, Tiki Island at 3 miles an hour. And it's those calm winds that really could cause any smoke or any particulates that are in the atmosphere to just remain in place and remain stationary. And so that's why I believe the emergency officials are taking those necessary precautions at that shelter in place, especially for the areas that Cheryl mentioned. And so looking at the radar right now, I was trying to see if we could see maybe a plume of smoke. Usually we can see that on our GOES 16 satellite, on the east version of that satellite, and we couldn't see it. I don't think it was high enough in the atmosphere for us to see it. Also, there's a lot of cloud cover that's currently in and around this area, and that's what the satellite is picking up on, is the cloud cover from those storms that are well off towards the southwest of this area. And so as we look at the bigger picture here, we were tracking some active weather earlier this morning. There was a lot of lightning across the area, but now it's mostly off towards the southeast. And I'm not saying that that's exactly what caused any of this at all, but we are expecting those storms to not pose a problem as of now. We've had to see the nearest storms are actually a good 62 miles away, just north of Bay City out in Brazoria County. That's the nearest lightning and the nearest heavy rain. So these are moving away from that site. So I don't think we're going to see any issues in terms of storm activity in and around that location. So as we look at the wind speeds in Texas City and what we're forecasted to see, we could see some winds start gusting up to around 20-25 miles an hour as we get closer towards maybe the later afternoon hours between 4 p.m. and 6 p.m. It's looking like they have a little bit of a good grasp on the situation over there in Texas City, but these wind speeds could help disperse anything that's in the atmosphere. So we're just continuing to track the storms that are still in the picture for today. We're not really expecting much in terms of any additional rainfall for this afternoon. The only thing that we're going to keep an eye on is the rain chance for tomorrow, but it's the calm winds. It's the calm after the storms from what they were dealing with early this morning. I believe they got up to about close to 5 to 6 inches of accumulated rainfall early this morning in and around the Texas City area towards Galveston. And the good news is that we're not not expecting any of that lightning to be in place, at least through this afternoon. So definitely expecting calm winds. Wind speeds right now, like I said, they're coming in out of the south between 8 miles an hour. And so Lamarck is the nearest weather observation site, and these winds are moving out of the south. So if you're in San Leon or maybe just to the north of Lamarck, I know Dickinson is not too far away. We have League City. These winds are moving north, but they're very slow moving winds. And I don't think that we're actually seeing those winds be as strong in terms of blowing any whatever is burning out there from this refinery to any neighboring cities. But we're expecting those conditions to remain mostly calm for now, but I believe that's the reason why the shelter in place is in effect for Texas City, as the calm winds are just causing that smoke to not really move as fast or as much going into the next few days. But we could get some gusty conditions maybe here in the next 2 or 3 hours, and so hopefully that could help when it comes to the wind speeds. Right now we need the wind speeds to disperse whatever's going on. Winds gusting up to 26 miles an hour, and then we're going to become calm again as we head into the overnight hours. So calm winds, no storms in the vicinity, and that's the good news in terms of weather conditions as we head into the next 2 to 3 hours, and it's looking more likely. I know they say white smoke is probably a good sign when it comes to these fires out in refineries, but like Cheryl just said, that black smoke that we saw in those social media videos, it was quite extensive.
Yeah, Chris, and when you think about that just a couple of hours ago compared to now and what you're seeing here and what you said with the wind conditions, that's great news. So that's wonderful, that update to hear from those people out there who are sending those videos. If you compare that to what Chris just said in those conditions, fingers crossed it won't be much longer. But if you're just joining us now, what we're covering for you is this breaking news. Right now, there's a shelter in place in effect in parts of Texas City, and that's because of a fire at a plant there. That's the Marathon Oil Refinery that's located on 5th Street South. That shelter in place, you're looking at the map now, that's from 29th Street to Bay Street and around that area, okay? So that's the area you need to pay attention to. Marathon Petroleum sent out a statement shortly after 1:30 today saying trained teams are responding. Oh, breaking news here. We're just finding out that the shelter in place that you see there on your screen in those neighborhoods has been lifted. So if you live in those areas, you can go ahead and turn your AC on. You're free to open your windows if that's what you choose to do. Great news here, breaking news, that shelter in place following that Marathon Petroleum fire has been lifted. Let's get to that statement if we can now that Marathon sent out shortly after 1:30 saying trained teams are responding to a fire at Marathon's Galveston Bay refinery. At this time, there have been no reports of injuries. All personnel are accounted for. Air monitoring is being deployed in the community as a precaution. The safety of responders, workers, and the community is our first priority as we respond to the situation. We will likely have more updates for you this evening in our newscast, but as of now, we know that the shelter in place has been lifted. We have been bringing you live pictures of Air 11, if we could bring those clips back up and show you the current conditions of what we're seeing there. You can see right there, as Chris mentioned, that white smoke, oftentimes a good sign. Air monitoring, as Marathon mentioned, still going on there, but obviously they felt it was okay to give the all clear to lift that shelter in place. So if you live in that area, it was about 8 square miles or so where they said you needed to shelter in place. You can go ahead and turn your ACs on, and they said it's okay. They've given the all clear to go ahead and do about your daily business on a Saturday. So that is great news. So again, shelter in place lifted. We know there are no injuries according to Marathon Oil. They are doing some air monitoring out there. We do have a crew headed out there to bring you the latest. And as we learn more, we will bring it to you online at khou.com and right here on KHOU 11 News at 6. Now back to programming.